Hi, everybody. Good day to you. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're all well. Happy hot Sunday afternoon. It's actually hot here in UK, which is not often that we have such, but it is hot. Okay, right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. For today's session, I intend to go through questions. So I'm not going to be talking about, I'm not going to be introducing anything new. I'm just going to be talking about questions and answering any question that is regarding studying abroad and funding your program in the UK. Now I have loads of questions, sorry, in my DM that I am struggling to get through. So I want to use this opportunity to answer some of those questions while also responding to any of you that have joined this afternoon to answer any of your questions. Also, just to mention that I have started something around um, expenses and expense in the UK. So, what I've been doing for the past few days is trying to look at different locations that you have in the UK specifically and seeing how much it will cost. Obviously, when you're applying for your visa, you would see the maintenance cost, which the government has estimated, and for within UK, within London, I think is about £1,200, and outside London is about roughly £1,000. So that is an estimate based on government projection of how much you will need per month. But obviously we all know that we try and look for something even more cheaper than that. So what I do, or what I've been doing and I'll try and continue to do, is to look at how much you would get accommodation in an environment, in a location, per month, and also how much it will cost, in terms of monthly maintenance. You're talking about feeding, like your groceries, like your I put gym, and some people almost had my head when I put gym. But I mean, it depends. If you don't need that, you can take it out. So transportation, if you need transportation from to and from your university, I would advise. My advice is, if you are going to be around, if you're going to be looking into accommodation, try as much as possible, if possible, to look for somewhere that is cheap but is also not too far from the university, so you can either walk it. I don't know how your level of threshold of walking, but I can actually walk about an hour, no, sorry, about half an hour to like 40 minutes or 45 minutes ish to and from school. So if you can get somewhere that is not too expensive within a walking distance, that would be better, so you can reduce the cost of actually paying um transportation. But that being said, I've estimated transportation, groceries per month, miscellaneous. You would need one or two things that might not be on that list, and your rent, which is like the main expense that you would incur when you come into the UK. So I'm trying to do that for locations as much as possible, so that can sort of like inform your decision, in addition to obviously the school, the fee, the payment plan, also the expense that you're probably going to incur in that environment. So those are like the things that I've been up to of late. I'm trying to pull together some list of schools and their payment plan, and affordability and the rest of that as well, so that you can have that in support, in addition to the payments, in addition to the living cost and expense within a location, so that that can also help you. We always say this: you can't look at one thing as how you're going to make your decision. You can base your decision based on one factor. There are so many factors. And so having multiple information and really integrating them to make a decision is very essential, because sometimes a school might actually be relatively cheap, but maybe the environment is not as cheap, or they may have a cheap tuition fee, or they don't have discounts. There are some schools that have up to £3,000 discount. Not scholarship. Scholarship is different, but like discount, some schools have up to £3,000. So if you add that, it may actually come down to being way cheaper than a school that is like, you know, not having a discount. So you have to consider that. You have to consider the location. From what I've been doing so far, even me, I'm learning. Honestly, I'm learning from this whole process, because I've noticed that there are some locations in the UK that are actually way more expensive. So if you consider, for example, I did estimate for London. Obviously, London is, I mean, we don't even need to ask that. Everyone knows how expensive London is. But then I did for Bristol, and I was surprised that Bristol actually is relatively expensive compared to some other areas. So if you have a university, for example, in Bristol, you need to consider the living cost in that environment as well. Would it be something you will be able to afford in addition to the university fee itself? Or you could consider somewhere outside London, outside Bristol. Possibly, I'm just saying, for you to consider maybe somewhere outside Bristol, and then adding the expense and the tuition, and just seeing, just weigh everything and see what really works for you in the at the end of the day, is what I'm trying to say. So I will start by, I can see some requests, but like I said, I have so many questions, like so many questions that I really want to get through. So I'm doing all of that, and I'm also trying to, like I said, have a general discussion, because I've been getting so many questions around, tier 4 visa, student visa, and some informations are just, I would think they should be accessible. So I'm trying to compile as much information around tier 4 and other visas if I can, just for you to know and be aware of some things. You don't really need to ask them once you read, and you're aware of that information. I can see my ogas are here. If you don't mind, I would invite you. Obviously, if you want to speak, that's fine. If not, that is absolutely fine. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate your time and your support in helping our students. So thank you so much. I'm just going to invite you all. If you're happy to speak, that's fine. If not, that's also fine. Okay, so I have some requests. I'm not sure. Hi, Aaron. Good afternoon.
Hi, Dr. Fola. Afternoon. Hi, everyone.
Oh, I said good afternoon, and then I remember you're probably late at night where you are.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
10:39 p.m.
oh goodness. Yep, that's the place that you do not need to take a bike. Is that not what you say? You don't need a bike to get there.
Exactly. You don't need a bike.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
No
So
worries.
For those that may not be aware, Aaron is one. I mean, I call him my Oga all the time, because he's one dedicated person to supporting and helping your international students, or international traveling abroad generally. Your experience, not just in the UK, because he's been in the UK, now he's in Australia, and he's trying to move all of us, not just prospective students, but all of us to Australia to join him there. So if you're interested in such information, please follow Mr. Aaron and get those juicy. And he's also very big on scholarship, yes, which obviously we all are. So helping us to share those informations around scholarship, how you can, tailor your documents and all of that information that you will need for your scholarship. Okay, so I have pull over. Let's start with you. But like I said, there are loads of questions, so we can go through all of them. Pull over. Are you there? Do you have a question for us? Okay, so probably he's there and he's just not. Hi, Ada. I can see you in the audience. Thank you for joining. We're just about getting into the thick of things. Right. So if he's not there, like I said, there are so many, because we started this last week, right? So we started this last week where we're going through how do you fund your studying abroad? What are the things that you can do once you get into the country? How can you better prepare? The best, obviously, let me have a recap before going into questions. The best that you could do, to be honest, is to have as
Hello.
much.
Hello.
Oh, are you back with us now? Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please, I just want to ask a question. I got an admission in University of Glasgow, But I was actually hoping to secure a scholarship, precisely Commonwealth scholarship, to finance the program. It's actually a master program for a year, but the scholarship did not go through. So although they gave me an option of possibly deferment of the admission. Now my question is, if I defer the admission precisely for University of Glasgow, that means that it will, instead of 21-22, it will not be 22-23 session. But my question is it possible to now secure an admission that would, to secure a scholarship that will now attend to the deferred admission? Is it possible?
Okay, thank you for that question. I believe it is possible because part of the requirement for those for those scholarship, especially the Commonwealth, and Aaron is here. I'm sure he can chime in. He's already. I think I'll just let Aaron go first, and then I might follow. Aaron.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just about the question about the Commonwealth scholarship. I'm not. As you would know, the Commonwealth has different streams. So I particularly benefited from the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. And you know, we've got the Commonwealth FNC and PhD and other streams as well under the Commonwealth. But as far as my knowledge goes, what happens with the Commonwealth is this, the recruitment or the selection is done every year. So every year, for instance, if I was stick for the Commonwealth scholarship, for instance, every year these things are revised. So for instance, you have one school that will have 3 courses, for instance, under the Commonwealth scheme, right? For let's say this particular session. In the next session, they might not be offering those 3 courses. In this session, they might have, for instance, 3 quotas. In the next session, they might have up to 6 or 7 quotas. So these things change, and because of that, as far as my knowledge goes, they do not. The deferment for admission does not kind of rub off on the Commonwealth scholarship itself. So if you intend to apply for the Commonwealth scholarship for the next year, it will still have to be the same process. And I've conversed with a friend at some point, and this is not cast on stone. I remember a few years ago where they said, instead of deferring, if you know you are looking out for the Commonwealth scholarship, it's pretty easy to get admission in UK schools. This is not like a firm rule anyway, as far as my knowledge goes. So he was of the opinion when I was having this conversation to say, instead of deferring, and you know you are still targeting the Commonwealth scholarship, it's better to just leave the admission and apply again next year, you know. Or if you defer the admission, or if you have an intention to defer the admission, then you have to ask the school about, specific processes about how it works for the next year. Because, okay, I'm applying for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship or the Commonwealth Scholarship next year, and these are my plans. But as far as I know, as far as my knowledge goes, again, you might have other people with different opinions. The Commonwealth scholarship does not rub off on you the next year. The next year, you have to still go through the same process. For instance, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, after you apply for admission, you still have to go and apply and choose a school as a nominating agency on the website of the Commonwealth Scholarship. Different schools have different processes. Some schools will even need you to write extra essays or write extra expressions of interest, declaring your interest for the Commonwealth Scholarship. So, I'm not entirely sure that the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship will work like in the next. When you go to the next year, you will still have to go through the process of applying again. So if you really want to defer, ask the school, okay, I want to defer right now. What happens in terms of, and I have intention to apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship next year, depending on what scholarship or whether the shared or the MSc one. Let the school give you guidance and on what they think it is. I would assume that they will still tell you, okay, when it's next year, please reapply or look up our website and see the specific guidelines, because the guidelines might change. I studied in Leeds Beckett University. And at some point, I remember when we were finishing, there were talks of Leeds Beckett was no longer going to start doing. Leeds Beckett was going to tone down on taking Commonwealth shared scholars for funding issues and funding reasons. And I'm not sure if that continued or if they're even still taking scholars at the time. There were a lot of things that were happening in my school at the time. They said, okay, next year we're not going to take scholars again. I'm not sure if that changed, but these are the kind of things that happened. That happened during all of this process because school bid for these slots and all of this. So things change. So yeah, if you want to defer, please speak to the school and find out exactly what happens in the next year. But my guess will be that you will still have to apply because if you defer the admission, it has nothing to do with the Commonwealth scholarship. The Commonwealth scholarship is independent of whatever the school is doing. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the answer. Please, I just want to ask possibly a quick guide on any other scholarship because actually the one I applied for was Common Shared Scholarship, and the process I went through was I went to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship website like that. So I was made to write some essays and all of that. So after which they just sent me a message that it was not successful, it didn't put through. Now, I had a standing discussion with my vice chancellor in the university where I work, who was like, that seems not to be the route, the channel I was supposed to go through, that there is a particular form I was supposed to actually fill. So I'm directing a question now to you, since you say you have been a beneficiary of this same scholarship possibly. So what am I supposed to have done? Which possibly I did not do, because what I did was basically I went to their website, the CSC website there. I filled the form there, told them the relevance of the scholarship if given to me, to all of those things. After that, no form at all to print, to have submitted to my parents' school for any vice chancellor or for whatsoever to recommend me. But my vice chancellor was very ready that, okay, if I can get the form, he's ready to recommend and all of that. But that wasn't the case. I wouldn't know if I did something in the wrong way.
Okay. How many schools did you apply to? Just to check, how many schools did you apply to under the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship?
Just one.
Okay, so I mean, this might not be the space. Apologies, Dr. Fola, if this is taking too much time. But the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is, in my opinion, one of the most flexible scholarships you can apply under the Commonwealth funding, because it allows you to apply to as much schools and as much courses that you want to apply. So you can apply to 10 schools under the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. You can get nominated by the 10 if you are fine, if your credentials or you're a very good candidate. But you can only accept one award. So the way it usually happens, the way it happens most of the time is most schools will ask you to apply for admission to their school. Once you apply, you come back to the Commonwealth website and apply for the Commonwealth scholarship, choosing that university that you have applied to as a nominating agency, right? You finish the application, write all of those essays and submit. If you have applied for, if you see another school that has the course you want to still do, you apply to that school again, come back to the Commonwealth website and start a fresh application, choosing that school as a nominating agency. So for instance, in my year, I applied to 5 schools. So I had 5 different nominating agencies on the Commonwealth website. 4 turned me down, and I was fortunate to get one. There are people who have applied to as much as 10. Some universities will tell you, do not apply to them. Apply only on the Commonwealth website, choosing them as a nominating agency. Once you submit, it goes to them. They do all their processes, and they nominate you or not nominate you. I have at least 3 or 4 videos on my website. So if you go to, just click on my picture. My website link is on my bio. Go to the video section of my website. There are about 3 or more videos about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship that we hosted with different people, explaining all of this process. It might give you more light so that we don't take much of the time on here with other people speaking, but just watch those videos. We answered extensively. There are most of the questions that you might have in your mind now about the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. That will give you an idea. If you have more questions, you can tweet at me on the timeline or try to send me a DM across other platform. I will not guarantee to reply as soon as immediately because of my deadlines in school, but I will always get to it. Okay, I hope that helps.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll get back to you. I just followed now.
Thank you, Aaron, and thanks, Pullover. So I think I'm just going to not even speak on that one and move on to the next person. Prince. Hi, Prince.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can I be heard loud and clear?
Yes, you can be heard. Nice.
Okay. Dr. Fola, good afternoon from Accra, Ghana at the moment. Because I don't see myself still being here within the shortest possible time. Yes, anyway. So like I always do, anytime I get the opportunity on spaces, I would want to shout, asking where the Ghanaian scholars are. Okay, so I have a concern and then a question. One, the concern, I realize that you guys are doing amazing, undoubtedly. Yet, it is looking like we, or you, the scholars are almost always just focused on the school routes and then scholarships to go study abroad and then all of that. Now, trying to pull our minds to the fact that you realize that there are conferences, there are symposiums, there are other events that for some of us who haven't had the opportunity to travel outside our home countries, sometimes you apply and then you can start from there. As I speak with you currently, I've been awarded a scholarship for the 8th 2022 conference in Montreal, Canada. And I was watching some videos on YouTube about trying to apply for the visitor visa, yes, on the IRCC website. So the event is for just 7 days. And in one of the videos that I watched, the young man who spoke talking about the fact that sometimes you can be denied a visitor visa because you don't have travel history. And so Charlie, that got my, it nearly gave me a heart attack and all of that. He was like, well, he wasn't really mandating because sometimes he can overlook that. But sometimes it also raises eyebrows, the fact that why is Canada your first destination? Your passport has not been disvirgined, and then it's Canada that you want to come to straight away. So I'm thinking in the future or along the line, if such opportunities come, conferences and all of that, you should also share it so that some of us can apply, take advantage of that, so that our passports starts being filled with stamps from other countries before. So it's not definitely going to be Canada for most of us at the first instance. Probably you might land an MSc opportunity or an MPhil opportunity even in your own country, and then from there you can build on it and then end up at the country that you desire. Just like Dr. Olumi Wayo, or most obviously, he started from South Korea and then now he's in Canada. So just something to put our minds to. And then also, so now my question, I want to find out with the proof of funds, is it that you are supposed to have the equivalence, your own currency, or you are supposed to have the actual currency? Let's say probably it's Canada or it's US. Am I supposed to have a forex account in which I have that amount, if it's say $2,000 or $2,500? Is that it? Or I should have since I'm in Ghana, it should be the CD equivalence in my account. And lastly, so I mentioned the fact that I've been awarded a scholarship for the 2022 conference, which is for 7 days in Montreal. I only have to apply for my visa and then send my biometrics and all of that. Now it's for 7 days. How much do I need to show as proof of funds, or is proof of funds necessary for this kind of situation that I happen to find myself in? Thank you.
Whoa, those questions are loaded. I'm not even sure I have all of them jotted down. I was trying to jot down a few. Um, Aaron, you've got your hand up.
Yes, that's it. This is from Prince, right? This is Prince that just asked this question just to check. Yes, okay, Prince. Congrats on your scholarship. I have a bit of ideas about ACE 2022 too, because I'm somewhat on that route too. But the scholarship you were awarded, because I know that some people were not, awarded everything. So were you awarded like everything? So flights, accommodation, were you awarded the full package, or you had different packages?
I was awarded everything, even together with a daily living allowance.
Okay.
So I got everything.
I'm not in Canada, and I wish we had people who are in Canada. I know that Canada is very, very, in terms of visa, is very, very tricky with Canada. But I would assume that because you already, it's a full scholarship, but I know that there are people who get scholarships to go study for masters or PhD, and they still even struggle to get study permits from Canada. So that is why I'm not entirely sure what happens with AIDS 2022, to be honest, because if you are being given everything, I don't know why you need to show proof. Why you will need to show proof of funds. I think what you will need to focus your energy on will be like proving to them that you will return back after the 7 days conference, because what you will have to show now is that you have enough ties with. I don't know if you're in Ghana or in Nigeria now.
I'm in Ghana.
Okay, yes.
So I'm in Ghana. I'm Ghanaian.
Okay. Yeah, so what you will have to focus your energy on is to show that you have enough ties with Ghana, something that will take you back to Ghana, right? My friend last year he's on a fully funded PhD scholarship here, with all of the letters, very juicy scholarship. He got a conference presentation in Canada, but he was turned down from Australia because they said he didn't have enough ties with Australia. So, it's very tricky, and I don't know if there are other people on the call who are very experienced in Canada. But that would be my own thoughts in terms of, because you've been given that, I don't know about proof of funds, if you still need to show proof of funds, because the scholarship is fully funded to attend the conference. I would think that it will just be you focusing your energy on showing that there is more, like you have something holding you back in Ghana. It could be education, it could be family. I don't know. More people are experiencing this. I attended some spaces on Canada and all of these things, and I'm not entirely sure, but maybe some other people on the call who are experiencing the Canadian area will help out. And then just on a personal note, I also reach out to you because I've got some bit of scholarship for the ACE 2022 too, so we might progress this conversation behind the scene. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. That is lovely. First of all, Prince, I would just want to say thank you for your comments very quickly. Ada is waiting. I just want to very quickly mention that we are trying our best, and also that I remember, because I used to do spaces on Clubhouse a while ago. I remember I used to have loads of Ghanaian sessions over there, like so many Ghanaian scholars. So I think maybe they are just not Twitter active, or we are just not seeing them on Twitter. But on Clubhouse, I used to meet a lot of groups for Ghanaian scholars. When it comes to, I think I'm just going to agree with exactly what Aaron said. If you have a conference funding that is fully funded, you are not necessarily expected, generally, not speaking to Canada now, generally you're not necessarily expected to show proof of funds. However, I would always advise that if you have something in your account that you can add to your application, it doesn't help, because they want to see what if, just for example, what if something happens, the hotel you've booked, you're not able to get to it or something, would you be able to still support yourself? Would you not find yourself on their streets roaming because you couldn't get your funders or you couldn't get some paper when you go to Canada or something like that. So it would help if you have something in your account so you're not going 000 CDs or something like that. And also definitely proof of family sorry, not family, national ties to your home country, very essential. We had a conference few weeks ago. No, it's not few, it was about this month, about 2 weeks now. Yes, on the 13th of April we had a conference. We in my university, it was in diabetes conference, and we had a Ghanaian group. There was a Ghanaian group, they wanted to come for that conference. Ghanaian football. It was a bit weird because it was a football group and they want to come for a diabetes conference, and it was just like, okay, it's not really matching. Not because it's football, but also, oh yeah, also it's like a disability group. They have deaf um individuals in that group, so it was a bit weird. And when we consulted as a team, we decided not to give them the invite because it just, they couldn't, even while we asked them, can you, what do you intend to gain from this conference, they couldn't really place it. They just said, we want our members to come and attend the conference, and it was just not convincing. That is just between us, we as the organizer of that conference. So imagine where you now have immigration officer trying to really get the meat of why you're going to this conference, and how would you um reassure them that you'll be coming back to your country of resident. So maybe something like, if you're in school, that would help to say, I'm in school and I'm still on my program, I intend to come back. Or if you have a job that is well placed, that can also inform them that I'm definitely going to come back. So I think I'll just, oh yeah, and for the exchange rate quickly, when you're putting money in your account, it is expected that you can put it in your local account in your bank in your country. You guys even have a Barclays Bank in your country, which is annoying when I found out, because I have Ghanaian friends, right? And he was like in Ghana, and he was like, "Oh, I'll send you the money." I was like, "How?" He said, "Yeah, we have Barclays Bank." I was so upsetting finding out. He even snapped the picture and sent to me. I was like, "We don't have it in Nigeria. Like, we're like 3 times, we are 5 times bigger." No, I'm just joking. Um, so yeah, you could put it in your local accounts and you print it out, but it has to be the equivalent. I would always advise people, this is just in general, maybe not for your conference travel, but try and put a bit more than what is expected. So when you convert it into your local currency, try and add a little bit more, because it does fluctuate within that time period that you need it. For example, for Canada, you're going to be putting money for like 6 months, and imagine what can happen within 6 months. So you want to always monitor it, of course, and you also want to add a bit more than, a whole lot more. The more the better, but we all know finance is not an easy thing for everyone. So, but as much as you can add to make sure that it doesn't go below the minimum threshold, because that's where you have problem when they see that you at some point were below what they expect. But outside that, you can have it in your national currency. Ada, please, do you want to go on?
Yeah, sorry, just a quick one, guys. Good afternoon. I just wanted to add, I think Dr. Fala and Aaron has said it all, Prince. However, I say however, no, not however. In addition, travel ties is really important. Okay, it is really important. It's but I need you to know, it's not about how many countries you've been to. That's not what they're looking at. They're looking at the countries you have been to. How have you adhered to their immigration rules, their visa rules? Have you been overstaying? Have you been breaching? What is the pattern? Because your travel history shows the pattern of your travels. I know, sometimes we might stretch the truth on our application forms and things like that, but the stamping and the stamp out on your passport never lies. So they will always see, okay, this person applies to go to this country for 1 month. Did they now stay for 6 months? Did they literally try and squeeze out as much as possible possible. Maybe you're saying in your application that you have ties back home, you have social strong economic ties, financial solvency in your country, which is something that they will also look at for reasons why you have to go back to your country. But if you're saying all that, and then in your visa or in your passport is showing that you're staying 6 months at a time, 3 months at a time at a particular country just to go and visit, so who is looking after all these things you've left home or you've left at home? So they're going to use that as a pattern to study, to study you, whether you're a genuine visitor or whether you have intentions of going there to work, study, to find somebody to marry, to overstay, to run away, things like that. So yeah, it is very important, but it's not the be all and end all. Dr. Fola is laughing. It's not the be all and end all. If you don't have any travel history, don't worry. As long as you can show strong social and economic financial ties back to your home country, that's fine. But if you do have travel history, it's just for them to see the patterns of your travel and the history. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ada. Very nice input there. Yes, we actually forgot our question about do you need, yeah, I mean, Ada have said it, so I'm just going to leave that. I remember when I went to Canada, not for a conference, I just went. Was it 2017 or 18? One of those. When I got to the when I got to the immigration, they actually pulled me aside. So they pulled me aside and they questioned me because I was just supposed to, go through immigration and get into the and just go out, right, out of the airport. But they put me aside, and the reason they put me aside was because I said I was going to stay 5 days. I mean, I've been given a for Nigeria. Okay, just to also mention, for Nigeria, Canadian visitors visa is for 2 years, right? Obviously, multiple entry. For Ghana, which is also another annoying thing about Nigeria and Ghana, is 5 years. So I was so pained when I found out it's 5 years, right? It was my Ghanaian friend that actually applied first. He got 5 years, and that motivated me. I was like, whoa, 5 years! And then I applied. I got two. I'm like, why did I get two? They did not know Nigeria is bigger than Ghana. Just joking again. So, but anyway, I got pulled aside for that 5 days because I mean they felt, how can you be coming for 5 days all the way from UK just to say 5 days? They just questioned me. They found that this is after I had gotten into Canada, right? Like literally at the airport. They still wanted to confirm, do I have enough ties to go back to my country? So you going for 7 days, you need to try and establish, especially that you're coming from your home country, because I'm coming from UK, so they know worst case I have a visa for them to push me to somewhere, right? But when you're in your own country, it's almost like, if we don't, how do we get him back to his country? It's a bit more difficult that way. So it's just to try and establish that social and as Ada said, maybe economic ties to your country, and I think you'll be fine. Also, you can definitely have your invite from the conference organizer. Very important. Have all of those information added to your application. Hopefully, yeah, that all goes well. And yeah, thanks for the conference. We'll try and see how we can be adding conferences to our additions on and things that we disseminate on these platforms. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Fola, please. Still on the issue of the profile. So now the event is in the last week of July to the first week in August. So I intend on doing some deposits to my account on 2 installments. So I want to do something like the equivalence of about 2,000 Canadian dollars. Now I want to do that in 2 installments. Is it too late to do this? Because I know for proof of funds, sometimes they are like, it should be in the account for about 6 months. Now, what has happened is that those monies were there in my account, but then I used them to do an investment, buy a treasury bill. Now, there's a way I can actually track the fact that those monies belong to me, and then I use them for an investment related to that same bank account. So 2 months to the event, and then I want to do this deposit. Is it too late? Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if other speakers would agree with me. I don't think it's too late. And the reason why I said I don't think it's too late is if you have a way of tracking that money, from your account and back to your account, I think that's more than enough evidence, in addition to if you have anything left obviously in your account. But keep in mind that, because this is the conversation is a bit different, because this is a fully funded trip that you're going for, a scholarship funded conference trip. So that also adds a bit to the whole situation. We are only saying it's better you have money in your account. Generally, if you were coming to the UK, I would have told you no, you're fine. But because it's Canada and we know how Canada can be tricky, that's why we're saying it's safer for you to show some money. The longer the better, but it still doesn't mean it's not going to fly, especially that you can trace, you have evidence to show that this money was here and then I moved it to do something. And with Canada, they are actually more liberal than UK, where in terms of, they allow you to use different assets and options for you to show that. In UK, we are mostly about where's your fund, and that's it. So, but they allow so many other investment options that they can use, to just, so long as it's linked to you as the owner or the person in charge of that, then they are sort of fine. So I would say it's not too late. Still put in for that application, and we will be rooting for you here. Thank you. Okay, we have I'm not sure whose hand went up first. So can we go with Prof Sunit and then we'll come to CR7? Oh, sorry. Can we go with Prof Sunit and then CR7 after? I'm not sure how.
Yeah, yeah. So Fuller, great to join again your space. It's always very informative and very, very supportive and helpful for the students who wants to make their career. So just to add in the ongoing conversation, as Ada said, the same thing which I would like to echo from my side. So normally what happens that even if you are having full funding support for attending conference, most of these countries, let it be Canada, let it be UK, let it be USA, their immigration officers or the visa consulates, they are much more worried whether a person who is going to attend the conference will come back to their own country or not. So for some time, you need to show the evidences how strongly you are connected to your motherland, might be your old parents who need your presence in order to look after them, or if you are married and your better half is in your country, which is again a connection to come back to this country, to come back to your own country. So all these things are required in order to show that one will certainly come back after finishing their job or presentation in that conference. Because mostly it happens that people go on various kinds of visas, let it be the travel visa, let it be the conference visa, and they start absconding from that place in that country, and they are engaged in some other kind of works. So these kind of previous instances or examples make this country little bit more tougher in order to release visa. So I think it's always good to have funds. That is perfectly fine. So, but it's not always about funds only. It's more about how can you assure them that you are going to come back your country. And in this regard, if you have earlier gone to various countries in any other reference and your visa, so you have multiple visas which show that you are frequent traveler, so that eases your way in order to get visa. But if you are first timer or second timer, these kind of questions are being asked. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Prof Sunit. Yeah, very valuable take on that. I think Prince is going to hopefully inform us of how his conference goes, because we are rooting that you'll be there, showing all, meeting all of the requirements, and definitely representing Ghana. And in this case, we'll claim you and Africa as a whole. CR7, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Hello?
Yes, please go on. We can hear you.
Yeah. My name is Vanessa. I I'm from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. So I recently started applying to schools in the UK, and I applied to University of Plymouth, University of Surrey, East University of East Anglia, and also Bournemouth University. But I got an offer from Bournemouth. I was rejected from Plymouth. I got an offer from Bournemouth, and I'm still waiting for answers from East Anglia. Sorry. So I'm actually very new to things like this. I really don't know where to start from. I got an offer, a conditional offer from Bournemouth, and I was told to pay initial deposit of £3,000. Okay, so I'm still trying to get some of my documents from my university, like my transcript and academic reference. That's what actually delaying me from like making any steps to pay the initial deposit. But I want to ask, when like my fee, I have feelings, but I can't like put the whole my fee is supposed to be £15,000. I can't put the whole like burden on them or something. So I was like most of the people I knew that went to the UK are working and trying to pay their tuition. I don't know how Bournemouth is. If I can get something good doing and I can like contribute to my tuition even if I get there. And secondly, I've been hearing something about the proof of funds to apply for student visa. I don't like they're like saying I have to have like 15 million or so in my account, like statement of account, 28 days statement of account. I don't know if I can use maybe a sibling's own or I must use my own account. And thirdly, um, I don't know how the accommodation is there. I don't know if I can get a small accommodation with small money. Like I'm a poor student trying to survive, so I will need like I'm trying to like get a breakdown of things there. I'm very new to
Ada.
it, so I
Oh,
don't.
sorry. Vanessa, you said? I don't know why I said Ada. Sorry, Ada. I was just looking at you. Was it Vanessa?
Yeah,
Okay. I think I have, first of all, I would like, and this is not just to you, but anyone else, just try and get to the question as soon as, so that we can, because sometimes if it's too long, we just get lost. I can't even remember the first thing, let alone the last one. So, but if you try and get to it as soon as, but I think I have an idea what your questions are. But are you done, so we can go through them?
yes, I am.
Fab, thank you. Okay, so the first thing you mentioned is, I only say that because my brain only works for like 5 seconds at a stretch, so I probably would have lost half of what you said. But the first thing you said, I think, is about your conditional offer with Beaumont University. Okay, so obviously different universities have different um what's it called now, different criteria for selecting students. So because of that, their criteria are different, and that's why you probably are not getting offer from some certain university and you're getting from certain university. So now let's just focus on Beaumont that you've gotten for now, which is good. With Beaumont University, if you have a 2-1, I don't know if you have a 2-1 currently, but if you have a 2-1, you can actually get a 25% discount off. I think you were in my DM. I actually went to Beaumont University, so I know quite well about Beaumont. I was there for like 5 years. So you would get 25% scholarship or discount off your fee. So I would ask that you check that. If you have a, you need to, if they don't give you, they should give you automatically, but if they don't, you need to request it. That's one. The other thing is that with Beaumont as a university, your payment plan is very important. So what they do is you pay that £3,000 and then you pay the rest, whatever is left, 50%. So you pay £3,000. Say for example, you get a scholarship. I'm hoping you do, and your fee is left with like maybe 11,000 or so. Out of that 11,000, you pay 3,000 as your deposit, and then you would have roughly about 11 minus 3, about 9,000 or so. And then out of that, you would now have the 9,000 split into two, and you would pay the first installment before you actually start classes, and then the rest 3 months after. That's generally how Beaumont payment plan goes. So you will need to consider if you can afford such payment plan. That is not something I can really comment on because I don't know your backstory to an extent, but you as the person involved in all of this will be the one to consider if that is something you can afford within the time frame. Now, so the only way you can reduce the fee is to see if you can secure that 25% off, and also if you can get banks to pay, if you can pay from banks, because if you do pay from banks, you do using the central bank payment system, it actually reduces, when you convert it, it reduces how much you're going to be paying as well. So I think that's also another option that you can consider. What's the other thing you mentioned? You talked about siblings. Ideally I would discourage using siblings account. If you have a sibling that is willing to help you, it would be better they transfer that money into your account. It's safer and it's easier. It's safer in the sense that if they can't really establish the relationship between you and that sibling, you might have issues with your visa. So to avoid all of that, you would not be there when they are making the decision for you. So just have them, if they are willing enough to have their statement support you, they should be willing enough to transfer it. I mean, when I was doing my sister was the one that pushed money into my account. I mean, I was a broke NYC graduate then. I had nothing in my name, to my name. I think my account probably was like 2,000 naira throughout, and then from there you just see 2 million and it's like, oh my god, 4 million. So if they can transfer it into your account, would be very helpful. That would save you a lot. But if say for example, because I mean, there's the whole conversation is, ideally it should be either your parent, your partner if you're married, and an employer, a well-established employer, not just some James John something limited. It should be, those would be like the safe people, or the safe options that you can look into if you yourself cannot have the money in your account. Siblings are not really recognized and they are not encouraged, so I would advise you try and stay away from that. Let the money be in your name, in your account. Now, when it comes to rooms in Beaumont, unfortunately, this I'm telling you for real, and I've actually done a maintenance fee. You should have seen it, of how much, roughly how much it will cost you to stay in Beaumont. I did for them several places, and Beaumont is one of them. I lived in Beaumont, so I also know Beaumont, like, from personal experience. Beaumont is not a cheap place to live, and that's the truth. Beaumont and London, they are like toggling it out in terms of who is. I mean, Beaumont is not more expensive, but is a close, second or third, or just not too far behind. So Beaumont is not a cheap place, and the reason is Beaumont has a beach. It is a tourist environment. People go there to spend money, not necessarily. So it makes things a bit more expensive. You have the beach, which is nice, but you sort of like pay for all of that in terms of your accommodation. However, long story short, you could have room for like maybe £400. Actually have a student that went to Bournemouth just this January, and she got a room for like 410, I believe, for accommodation. So that might be roughly around where you might sit. If you have a single room, it might be cheaper. So a single room for like 300, 350. But usually those are not very common. So you, because I mean, a student that managed to grab a single room will not leave it until they finish, because I mean it's cheaper. You don't need so much space as a student. You can manage with as so. But if you find a single room, it will be around 300, 350. Normal standard room will be about 400 to 450. It might be more, of course. The bigger it is, the nicer it is, the more expensive it is. But Bournemouth is not too cheap. If you're looking for a cheap location, sorry, Bournemouth is not necessarily the first point of call. Also, when it comes to work, I mean, it would depend on the kind of work you're open and willing to do. But Bournemouth does, to an extent, have good work, environments. You would mostly get shifts if you're doing care. I mean, that's like the first thing that comes to mind. If you're doing care support, there are loads of agencies and, to an extent, job as well. But you will have to hustle it. I mean, if you're not going to go out there and grind, these things don't come in. So I wouldn't really say it's a bad place to go, but also it's not going to be an easy ride. Just to wrap it up from there, I don't know if I've answered any of your question as you expect.
Yeah, Dr. Kola, thank you very much. I wanted to add that you said something about 2-1. I didn't finish with 2-1, I finished with 2-2. And some of the scholarships I saw on the site, on Bournemouth University site, was mainly for 2-1 and some other courses. But I applied, I got creative writing and publishing. I'm a writer, a content writer. So I just the one I applied for, I think great scholarship also. But the only issue with that one is they gave like just three countries, specifically Ghana, India, and one other country. Well, I just applied, so I don't need a lot of direction. Okay, yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
All right. I mean, well, I just put the 2-1 out there in case if that's something that is open to you. But if not, well, I would wish you the best of luck. It's hopefully going to be a good positive outcome, either Beaumont or any other universities that you've applied to. Right. So is there any contribution question, or should I delve into my loads of questions awaiting us? No? Okay.
Yeah, let me just take the punch.
Yes, please, Aaron, go on.
No, just saying, yeah, you can go ahead with the questions.
Okay, thank you. Right. So someone here, hi doctor, I noticed you're a senior lecturer in public health. Yes. What are the chances of a good job or career in public health or public health related courses? I just got admitted into University of Strathclyde to study health analysis and policy and management. Okay, so yes, you're right that I lecture in public health, but I do not practice in public health at the moment. So most of my lens would be from academia. Obviously, we do teach students and hopefully have them go into public health practice, but that doesn't mean I am firsthand in public health practice. I just want to make that difference. But all that being said, what are the chances of a good job? Well, I mean, a good chances of any job, I think it depends on you, really. There might be one opening out there. It depends on how good, how prepared you are for that job. So there are some public health roles. I just, in fact, I have a session on Tuesday with my students, and we're going to be having public health practitioners come in to talk to them about how to get into public health jobs and roles. So I'm also preparing myself some things I can add to them. And I noticed you could have some jobs within the NHS. Obviously, the other ones are within the public health agencies like the Public Health England and the Department of Health, the Office for National Statistics, some charity organizations like the King's Fund. They also employ people, but it depends on your skill. So, for example, if you're going for King's Fund, for example, you would have to have maybe epidemiology and statistics analysis skills, because those are the kind of information they work with. So it just depends on what kind of skill you have. There are some research assistant. There's something they call graduates into health. This is a website that I am hoping to share with my student next on Tuesday. Graduates into health, and so they carry some public health courses. There are also roles. I mean, this one I already tweeted about it. Roles in public health for for within NHS. So NHS is literally the largest health body in the UK, and they have public health throughout all of their trusts. So if you check the NHS website, which I've tweeted and I can tweet it again, you would see options of public health roles. Obviously, it would now be for you to map your skills and your qualification to the requirements on those jobs, because um, it's not just the easy pick, right? You still have to prove to them that you can do those jobs. So I don't know if I've answered that question. Is there any addition? Thank you. Yes, Aaron. Thank you.
Yes, so for me, I'm also into public health, but I've been in the field of development, so working with NGOs literally all my life, right? So I don't know what space you are in, but I know that, I mean, public health. I mean, public health is public health. You can get jobs and opportunities in public health, especially with all of the things about pandemic going on and everywhere. So most countries, I mean, public health it's big. What I would advise is, I don't know if you are on a scholarship or anything, but the best route to do, like as Fola has mentioned, once you get into the system, you match your skills with some of these things, begin to network actively. Now the UK has the post-study visa. So, I mean, if you use your time during studies to either volunteering is a big one. I'm not sure about how volunteering works in terms of public health, England, NHS, and all of that, because those are government bodies and there's a lot of bureaucracies, right? I'm not sure how that works in the UK, but volunteering works. Network actively, email people, find out information. Because I'm into NGO, when I was studying in the UK, I volunteered as well. Volunteering was like the first thing for me to do. So I volunteered with an organization in Leeds when I was studying. And I remember just when we were finishing, they had an opening for a position within the organization. And one of the staff was actually inviting me to apply at the time, but I was restricted by the condition on my scholarship to return back to Nigeria. So I couldn't even apply, but that was like a potential opening, and it was just like from volunteering. And there are a lot of people like that who got opportunities by studying in the UK and then volunteering during that time, and then the opening comes up, or they could even get referrals. So, I mean, if that's your focus, now there's a 2 years post-study visa. If you're not bounded by any scholarship, volunteer aggressively, network aggressively while in the UK, and, something might pop up from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. Yep, volunteering. Also, just to add that you mentioned NHS, you can actually volunteer with NHS. They have like a whole arm for their voluntary projects and volunteering services that they provide. And one of the speakers that will be coming for my session with my student next week is actually a practitioner that started as a volunteer with the NHS. So she started on a maternal health voluntary project, some project, but she was a volunteer. Obviously, they have the actual staff that were coordinating those projects, and so she started from there. And like you said, when the actual paid role came up, she was able to then pick from there and eventually get employed. And now she's literally in the system. So yeah, volunteering is very key as well. There's also there are some local councils, literally all local councils within UK have public health arm. So any local council, just go, for example, go to maybe Newham or Redbridge or Dorset or Bournemouth, and just check out their public health department. So you can also, they would have volunteer, because they always need people. I mean, even though COVID is sort of like we are now so somewhat in the aftermath, but they still need people. So you could always volunteer for any of those COVID maybe evaluation program. Right now, evaluation programs are going on. I'm part of one of the evaluation program for London, the one this bureau that I am in. But there are so many evaluation programs that are going on because we've done the intervention. The pandemic is somewhat rounding up, somewhat in quote. Now they are evaluating the interventions that they put in place in different localities to see what works and what doesn't work, what should we drop and what should we keep for future as we go on outside, hopefully post pandemic. So you can actually volunteer for any of those evaluation projects to add up to your CV as and work experience. Thank you. So the next one I have here is good day, thank you for the space. Okay, yeah. I have a 2-2 in microbiology and want to do masters in in the UK. Do they accept 2-2 or do I have to do a pre-masters first? No, they do not. You do not, sorry, need to do a pre-masters. Most schools, the minimum entry criteria would be a 2-2. So I think you're fine with your 2-2. Just apply and you should be fine. And also, if you actually don't have 2-2, say for example, you have a third or you have an HND, you still can apply to these schools. It depends on the course and it depends on the university. But if you're not sure and you just want to be certain before you go on to apply, then try and email the admission office. When you look at, you will see their international office email address. Try and email them. Sometimes you just have that work experience that they need. Do you know I actually have I mean, this is a UK person, obviously it's different from international student, but just to say, there's a UK student that we have. She's graduated now, just very recently. She actually didn't have a BSc and she came in for masters. And the reason she applied for a BSc and we evaluated and it was like, nah, you have way too much for a BSc. You'll just be wasting your time, come on to masters. And she was happy to do that, and now she's literally mainly because of her work experience, her years of working in the field. It was not it was evaluated as she doesn't need a BSc. So you could actually have work experience that you can add to your profile that university would consider. Individual basis, they look at some of these things and they can jump, whatever qualification that you come up with, maybe a third or even an HND, and that can be enough for you rather than doing a pre-masters. But for you specifically, you have a 2-2, you do not need to do a pre-masters. I hope I've answered that. Is there any addition or should I carry on?
Yeah, I was going to say, Dr. Fala, for those of you that might have a 2-2 or a third, like Dr. Fala said, please, please, please do not let that put you off. Do not let that turn you off. Like the doctor has said, that you're interested in, they all have email addresses. These schools want you to come to them. They want you to come to them, so they will answer any questions you have. They want to take your money. Let's face it, So ask them any questions you want to ask them. Say to them, listen, I've got a 2-2 or I've got a third, but these are the personal circumstances. Obviously, you have to be able to justify why you had that, But make your personal statement strong. Make your highlight your job experiences, your previous work experiences to boost the fact that you actually got a third. Because not everybody, has the academic brain. But a lot of us can actually contribute a lot towards what we're trying to study. So don't let it put you off. Do not let it put you off to apply. Email the academic department and then boost your personal statement, boost your work experiences. That will help you a lot.
Thank you, Ada. Absolutely. Fab addition. Dr. Tio. I've been thinking, where is Dr. Tio in my mind? But I didn't want to disturb your Sunday, just in case you're doing other things. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just going to add that, you could readily also contact the program leader. So most of the schools would have the names of the program leaders on there, and you can as well contact them, have prior discussions with them. That is what they are paid for. They are supposed to, respond to students' queries and all that. So you can do that. Just to highlight a bit more about the HND and work experience. So in my university, we have what we call recognition of prior learning or prior experience. So all those are taken. So whether you have some previous learning from other institutions at different levels, and you had some work experience, that is in fact for my field, which is medical imaging, we consider and of course other health related programs, they consider your previous experience very, very highly. So if you have some experience, don't think you need a BSc or something in order to progress onto a master. So all those are taken into consideration, whether experience or prior learning. And of course, that especially it makes work easier if you are able to demonstrate it, or you have referees who can actually, write something to say that, oh, I've had this person who has done internship or he's worked with me before, on so and so and so. It makes work easier and it makes the admission process a bit more smoother and faster. So don't, throw all those experiences away. They all do count to your admission success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Teo. Now, Dr. Teo, because you just joined us, would you mind speaking I mean, you're working in Beaumont, but the reason why I want to put you on the spot is Vanessa I think she's still here with us, and she asked about Beaumont. She's got an offer from Beaumont. She's a bit concerned, especially when it comes to finance, not necessarily the academic excellence of Beaumont, but the finance, spending, and living expense in Beaumont. I mean, I've responded to it, but that's based on my knowledge before moving to London. So you're still in Beaumont. What would you say when it comes to expenses in Beaumont?
Well, I think Beaumont is relatively not that expensive. And I think it is a international student friendly city. It's not too far from London, so I would say it's a mini London, if I'm allowed to describe it that way. In the sense that in terms of proximity to all major things that you can find in London, you can find them here really. And you have a plus. At least we have one of the nicest beaches in Europe. A lot of them actually. So it depends on where you want to live in relative to the university campuses. I mean, accommodations very near to campuses are relatively expensive, and of course, they are even hard to find at certain times of the year. But I mean, if you have admission and you are coming to Bournemouth, maybe you can come try as much as possible, get to Bournemouth maybe a month or maybe 2 weeks before, just to settle down, sort yourself out in the best of places before everyone else comes around. It's not too expensive. Cost of living is practically across the UK. It's fairly, similar across everywhere. I mean, you are in the UK. And as much as possible, just get your bus ticket so that because you'll be able to move around and then get accommodation a bit, further away from the city center. And I think you will be fine, to be honest. No point actually being in the city center because it will be too noisy. And yeah, but anyway, some people prefer city center, but I would personally advise that you go a bit out, especially if you get a monthly bus tickets, you should be fine. And there are so many jobs around anyway. Yeah, for international students, you can make use of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Teo. I did say, I mean, when it comes to job, I know Beaumont, they do try. But Beaumont is not cheap. Let's just put it that way. It's not, yeah. It's not expensive, but it's also not, if you're looking for cheap places in UK, Beaumont is not it shouldn't be on top of your list. But it's also, oh, Dr. Teo.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. I mean, you are right. Considering it's just 2 hours from London, it's not too cheap, but it's also not too expensive relative to other parts of the country, like the major cities, London, Birmingham, and Manchester, all those places. It's not that cheap, but not too expensive as well, I would say. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
But you
Dr.
are
Tio.
welcome. And when you're on campus, I think I'm one of the few black ones that are on campus. So just say hello and I'll get you coffee. Thank you.
Yeah, I know, right? Literally, all of the people that taught me in Bournemouth, there was only one, I think, Asian person. Everyone else is white. So just to, I mean, we have a lot of international students. I mean, Nigerian students are well represented, but I don't know, somehow the staff mix is just what it is. Okay. Taking away from that, I have a question here. It says, thanks, Dr. Tio, for that input. It says here, I'm 25 years old, I'm da 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 da, I'm married, my wife as well. She wants to come for masters, and someone said I can't be a dependent because I'm also her sponsor, because I'm 25 years old, and where will I get that kind of money? What kind of business did I do? Blah 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 blah. Nah, no, this is way too much. It doesn't affect. I'm trying to process how this is an issue, and I can't seem to get it. It's not an issue. It's not an issue that you're 25 years old. It's not an issue that you're married to your wife. It's not an issue that you're going to sponsor her, and it's not an issue that you'll be her dependent when she comes in. What I would suggest is, if it makes you feel any better, see, UK doesn't really, I don't know about US and Canada, especially Canada. UK doesn't trace where your money is coming from, because all they even want to see is your 28 days visa, sorry, bank statement, right? So if it makes you feel any better, put the money in her account. I mean, she's your wife. It shouldn't be that difficult to make such transaction. Put the money in her account, have it left there for the allowed days, let her apply for her visa, and you apply as a dependent. You can either apply together, or she applies first and then you follow. You do your own application once her visa comes out. But either way, you shouldn't have problem. I don't see your age being a problem in terms of how old you are. When I did my application, I wasn't asked, how old my sister was. I didn't even, you just, yeah, anyway. Is there any addition? I'm struggling with the question and why it's an issue, because it's not an issue that I can see particularly. And worst case, put the money in account and say family support as families funded. Oh yeah, Aaron, sorry, I just saw your hand.
Yeah, I honestly think it's not a concern as well. I mean, age is not, shouldn't be a factor here, especially for the UK. You guys are married. There will be documents that shows that you're married. Probably there will also be traces of how you got the money that's in your account. So, I mean, there shouldn't be even any need for you to even stress yourself to transfer money or anything. You can, I mean, put off the age thing as far as my knowledge goes. Again, that age shouldn't be a barrier in this point. I mean, if it was age, many people would have lost out on getting visas. So if you have all the documents to show you guys are legally married, you have documents, your account statement is showing that flow and outflow of money. So I don't think age is a concern here.
Thank you. I agree completely. I think just go ahead, make your application, and all the best. Oh. There was something that happened. I don't know why I want to say this story. This is what I do in class. Like, I'm literally in the middle of teaching something, and then I remember a story. I'm like, oh, I got a story for you. Okay, so there was a story that I heard. So if this is not married couple, is boyfriend, girlfriend. So the boyfriend actually applied for visa with some, not so, all those agents and how they do things, right? So but somehow his visa went through, and the girlfriend then applied using the same process, and unfortunately hers did not go through. And in addition, because it's very shady, right, they actually banned her for 10 years. So I don't know, what do you think happened to the relationship? Anybody, what happened to the relationship? Well,
sorry, I didn't get the point. Like, can you retrace the
okay,
story again for that?
yeah. So the boyfriend applied through an agent using, some very shady ways. But he went through. This was years ago. I think like 2017 or so. He went through, right? And the same process was used for the girlfriend few weeks after, actually, and she didn't get through. And she was banned. In addition to not getting through, she was also banned from entering UK for 10 years. So my question is, what do you think would happen to the relationship? Should the guy just, go back because the girlfriend is not able to make it and she can't come into the UK for 10 years?
So that's what if the love is genuine all along, when you from the UK to Nigeria, so the guy can always shuttle to and fro if it was genuine from the beginning. But if it wasn't, then we'll commit them into the hands of whatever creator they are worshiping.
Absolutely. I was saying, well, he got married. He got married. Um, that was how I heard the story anyway, because he was getting married, and I was like, oh, nice. And I thought this guy said a girlfriend, and like, yeah, she got 10 years ban. She can't come in. So anyway, that happens. I don't know why I remember that story, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Aaron.
Yeah, but I think for I think it's also your story also to people applying. It is very, very important that we're very careful in how we go through this process. I mean, there are a lot of people who are out there to, okay, so I have experience, but please always do your research, do your due diligence, because a lot of people are out there to just get your money, to be honest. So, I mean, for the guy, he's scaled through, but the lady has been banned for 10. And sometimes it could be for very, very, very simple that if you want to find out, people who are coming very big on telling Australian universities are very big on telling students to apply through agents, and the agents, some of them are exploitative, right? So you find students, getting into the wrong hands for different reasons. And something that would have saved that would have been just a bit of research. If you have been getting any information that it's not clear, email the school and find out. And if you don't have like clear documents and people are saying, oh yes, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, I mean, if it's not genuine, please don't stress yourself. I know that there's that drive is always there, and sometimes because we really want to get the opportunities abroad, we might to an extent get so desperate and fall into the wrong hands. And I mean, once these guys collect your money, they are done. There's nothing binding you. You're the one who everything falls back to you. So again, for that story was, she brought it up, but it's very, very critical in reminding us that you are applying for opportunities abroad. It doesn't tarnish your entire travel for 10 years. Other countries that as well if she wants. So these guys, they share information. If she wants to travel to Canada, to anywhere, this we're speaking here because I'm also in the process of also traveling and doing a lot of things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Ada, you've got your hand up. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to quickly add to that. You guys are so right. You're so right. We really need to be careful using agents. I mean, agents are there, they're there to do their job. They're there to